So, fun little fact, the Northern Mariana Islands is a part of the greater Micronesia. And so the folks from the COFA states, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, the Federated States of Micronesia, Palau, we're all Micronesians. And one of the commitments that I made was that I was going to be their champion here in Congress because they don't have representation, although they have served this country. So I thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation today regarding my bill. So Dr. Koniger, in your testimony, you referenced the unique legal consideration involved in extending VA benefits to veterans from the freely associated states. You specifically mentioned that the department continues to support a phased implementation approach to ensure durable access to care and continuity of services, particularly in geographically isolated and high-risk environments. So I guess I want to understand that statement a little bit more, and I wanted a clarification on what specific legal questions the VA is still working through.
Ma'am, I'm going to defer to Dr. Lorente on that question.
So to provide some examples, let's talk about the medications. There are certain medications that can be transported based on Department of Transportation regulations and laws, and then there are others that are considered hazardous and cannot be transported or cannot be easily transported. There are certain medications that require certain types of refrigeration. Those would be logistically complicated to be able to send via mail order to, as you described, in some cases, some fairly isolated areas over a broad geographic distance. I'm not saying that it's impossible to do some of these things, but we would need to be able to figure out how to do it. That's on our side. On the FAS side, we would also need to understand what are their regulations, what are their restrictions, if they have any, with respect to the use of medications. Are there some medications that they don't allow? And so that's just an example of the types of things that would have to be worked out in agreements. Similarly, on the provider side, so we have the authority for U.S. providers to deliver services, for example, via telehealth. But those providers don't necessarily right now have licenses, if you will, to practice medicine in the Federated States. It's something that would have to be worked out in the agreement. These are just a couple of the examples of the types of logistical issues that would need to be worked out. We welcome the opportunity not only to work with Congress, but to work with our interagency partners in order to see what we can do with respect to the options that would be available to deliver the services.
So are those regulatory changes that are required, or are there specific laws which prohibits these agreements from being negotiated? And how does that interplay with regards to what the commitments that we've made with the COFA agreement that was passed 2 years ago?
I would respectfully request that you allow me to take that back for the record because I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay, well, thank you for that. My other question is, one of the issues that were raised with regards to this legislation is the cost, right? And what has been done basically to kind of more fully vet what that looks like. And whenever cost comes up, it kind of aggravates me because we didn't talk about costs when folks from the FAS signed up and served our country, right? And so where are we at with that?
Yes, so we have been working at trying to examine and evaluate what some of the potential costs would be based on the types of services that would be offered, the types of medications that are likely to be needed, and then the beneficiary travel component to try to come up with an estimate. The cost estimates also would necessarily be a result of what the actual utilization turns out to be, and that's not something that we know right at this point in time. It's something that we are working on to try to see if we wouldn't be able to obtain an estimate and a projection.
All right, thank you. I'm out of time. I yield back.